What's up, everybody? How are you? Happy Monday. I can't believe, what is this, the 17th? Wow, October 17th. That's crazy. Time is flying. The playoffs are going to start. Well, the playoffs are starting. It's a rain delay. Let's go, Yankees. I'm a Yankee fan.
Woo woo!
Yeah. Uh, what is it saying, Lika? We have trouble streaming. Um,
Keep talking.
yeah. The Knicks, the season is about to start. Knicks and Nets. So, real talk. We just had a wonderful weekend hanging out, partying and having fun at Row House. That's the third Saturday of the month. Also, giving shout out to all our sponsors, Reggie Wells Quality Speakers, Soft Illusions Art Gallery, who is right here,
Yeah.
uh, Deadly Arts of Survival Magazine, Ingram Taxes, and just a plethora of other things that's happening right now. So shout out to everybody that's chiming in from YouTube. Like I said, I mention it a lot because it's annoying, but excuse me, Facebook has done some alterations. And
So subscribe to YouTube.
so exactly, so subscribe to YouTube so you definitely get to see us. And this is Real Talk with Alyson Williams today. And let me ask my partner in crime, Alley Cat, how are you doing?
How you doing?
I'm good.
Now
I'm
I'm
good.
gonna tell you something. I want people to understand. Your partner in crime is Malika. I'm just
Oh,
a cohort.
oh,
I'm part of the team
yes.
of superheroes.
Well, thank you for correcting me. I appreciate that. Yes.
The
Yeah. Well, I
team of
was.
superheroes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Dun,
Exactly.
dun, 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 but Thank- Hi, Lika Mika.
Thank
Stick your
you.
head in here.
Oh,
Look at
it's
that.
so good to see you.
Oh, she's going to be voice of God today. There she is. All right.
Yeah. There she is. There she is.
She was just appearing. I'm doing good. I was, I got the text, and I'm going to tell you in future, make it a day sooner, because the time is going so fast. I have it in my calendar, third Monday, but I had no idea that today was going to be that third Monday.
Right. Right. Right.
This
Right.
is the third Monday.
It comes. It comes like that. That's what just what it
But I
does.
tell you, but I'm gonna tell you, and as I was saying, I would get more into it. I'm really appreciative. You always give me the opportunity to say I'm not prepared, or I got something else going on. But I knew that I had the month of October off, and but it was important for me to still keep up with my other obligations. When you come home, I think people kind of get an idea that when I come on with you, I'm going to give you my view of the world from the road, you know what I'm saying, or from an entertainer's point of view, whether it's community, world, current events or whatever, or just what's going on from my perspective as a performer. But being
Absolutely.
home, it feels good to be home and steady and stable, and having some time down. The only problem is that once you get out of your regimen, you feel good about it. So what that means to me is I hadn't put on an eyelash or drew an eyebrow in almost 3 weeks, and I wasn't mad about it. I was
Yeah.
about to let my eyebrows grow together, but I said no. I frightened myself and my neighbors.
You're
But
hilarious. You're hilarious.
I'm just saying. So you're the thing that made me. I always get up and I always try to be productive. I don't do one thing a day. I do something. But you made me say, Alison, go ahead and find your makeup kit. Where is it? Go on and
Yeah.
put it on and be camera ready for the extent. The good thing is, God has blessed me, and I don't have to go all out and show up with a total Cupid doll thing. I can do a little powder, little brows,
Yeah.
some lip gloss, and I'll be presentable, which lets the audience know that when they come see me live, I'll have a full-on paint.
And that's what's up. You know what's so funny? And I get it because sometimes people fail to realize, you know, the stage is your, you that's what you perform. That's who you are. So when you get this, like you said, you got this month off, you can just veg out and do what you want to do and
When I
relax.
tell you, I look like between Don King and Woodstock. My head just blonde sitting on top of my head. Just, hey. And sometimes I forget and I go to the door, say deliver the package or whatever, and I just close the door and go, oh my God, I gave those people that. Oh wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Hi, how you doing? No lashes, looking like a light bulb. Oh my gosh. But I feel good about it. You know, I'm good. I'm happy with the skin I'm in, and but I always want to give my best when it comes to, you know, showing up on a public platform. And I'm glad that today was today, because it made me come out of that. Because in 2 more weeks I got to get back to the regular grind. You know what I'm saying?
What you got coming up in 2 weeks?
So I just, you know, I'm trying to. I'm back out with Najee. Shout out to Najee. I want to let you know that we have been, and when I say we, it's because we're a team, and you know, if he win, I win, and we all win. His album has been put in the category for consideration for nomination. It's called for your consideration, and that means that the voting members of the Recording Academy, which is the Grammys, they are nominating his CD Savoir Faire in the category for Best Jazz Album, Instrumental Album. However, there are many collaborators like myself, Frank McComb, Chris Big Dog Davis, and a few others, and we are part of that as well. And so I'm excited. Like I said, if he wins, we win. So Grammys are coming up, I guess, in February, as usual. And a lot of other people. Melissa's got a song out there for nomination. Mesa's got a song out there for nomination. There are a lot of people, Valerie Gant, that have put the work in and read the instructions and filled out the application.
And that's what's up. But you know what's so funny? I mean, shout out to the artists that are still doing it and still can do it. That's a beautiful thing. Mm-hmm. I think we have to give our RIPs to, what was it? It was Joyce. Was it Joyce Sims? Yes. Did you know her, Allie?
And Coolio as well. We haven't talked since Coolio passed. I had a chance to work with Joyce Sims back in the day, you know, because we were all on that circuit where you know, if you had dance music in the clubs, you were making it happen. You know? Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like you said, since you haven't been hit, rest in peace to Coolio too, you know, a legend in the hip hop iconic voice. Definitely Gangsta's Paradise is an iconic song. Mm-hmm. And like you said, rest in peace to her. I see D Train had just put a post up and he's like, I was just with her the other day. So you know, people, please understand, you know, you can be here 1 minute and go on the next, which is so crazy, you know, and we have to understand that we need to give people their flowers as they're here and not try to give them to them, you know, because crying on my casket ain't gonna really do too much for me. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather you cry and salute me and say hello right now while we're here. You know, there's so much still going on in this world, Allie. Crime, of course. 45 stays in the news. All these new votes, you know, elections are coming up in November. I guess I'll definitely talk to Al about that. Or I may not, because he might be busy that day out there campaigning for whomever and whatever. And you got Herschel Walker talking about he's pro-choice, and that's what I'm saying, right? Yeah, he's pro-choice, right? And you got Dr. Oz. You got a lot of things going on, but Herschel's son is giving him the business, talking about like basically my father's a deadbeat dad and things of that magnitude. What's your thoughts on that? I mean, first and foremost, we'll transition to something else, but what's your thoughts on I think we had that discussion about how you feeling about pro-choice or not pro-choice, or give it to government?
Well, you know, I always try to, I always want to have a voice, because I think I was given a voice to have a voice. And what I mean by that is being a public figure, or people want to say an artist of note or celebrity, whatever you want to say. You know, when you are given that monocle, it comes along with a platform. So you want to stand on that platform, and then you make a choice of what you want to say, what you want to represent. So I'm really, I'm a background singer when it comes to politics. In the fact that I always feel like I like to have an opinion, but it is my personal opinion. But when someone needs me to stand up for something that I believe in, and I will do it without
hesitation.
Exactly, without hesitation. I am pro-choice. I believe that we as women need to be able to have a choice in what we do. We need to be able to, if we find ourselves in a certain situation, that we are not stuck in that situation, and that does not dictate the trajectory of our lives. Do you know what I'm saying? Because we choose not to have a child, or to have a child, or whatever it is to be. So I know, having been a victim of rape myself, I can only imagine what that situation might have been had that rape produced a pregnancy, and then I couldn't do anything about it, but have this child.
Right.
Or other people would be in jeopardy for trying to help me not to have a child that would have been a product of a rape. You know what I'm saying? So these things happen. There are a lot of different things that happen during the course of life, and because it is part of life, you have to have the choice of whether to bring it forth or not.
Yeah, and I stand corrected. He's not pro-choice. He's against that. He wants to. Right. Yeah, so I stand corrected.
He had a lot of nerve not being pro-choice when he had financed an abortion for a woman that he'd been involved with. I don't know if it's the mother of any other of his children. I don't know what the situation is, but
and then it seemed to be like basically a deadbeat dad the way his son portrays him. I don't know anything about that man. I just know he used to play football, and I know he's so far Trump's behind that if he belches, it'll come out brown. You know what I'm saying? It'll come out with spelling Herschel.
Right.
But I personally think it's a shame that men think they could tell women what to do with their bodies. You know what I'm trying to say? I think it's a shame that they still want to be able to say it. Now we can get into all the theories of the white race is not, they're losing their percentile on this earth and stuff like that. Whatever the choice is, or you still want to keep people of color in poverty. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what it is, but the bottom line is I'm assuming I would love to be a skeleton in a lot of these rich people, and I'm not going to say white, black, whomever, closets, and find out what did they do? Because I'm sure a lot of their careers and lives would be different if that woman they made a mistake with, and I'll use the word mistake, had children right now out of wedlock or adultery. You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
you know what this? I was watching. This is a odd year for me. The last time I voted was for a presidential election, and I voted here where I live now. Because I think the vote counts. You got to be in it to win it. You know, the vote.
Right.
All of those little cliches and things that we say. Now it's different with this electoral situation because I'm voting for people that are governors, gubernatorial. You know, I'm voting for people that I don't know, and I don't know their track because I just got here. And when I got here, everything was shut down. It was in the middle of the pandemic, so now I'm having to look at profiles and try to find out information as best I can, and maybe get get an idea of how other people think. Not that I'll let them influence my vote, but you got to know. If you don't know the dude next door, you got to ask, well, who's the dude next door?
Then you got to add. Then you got to take in consideration the person that you're asking, because they're going to give you their spin on that person. Go ahead,
So I digress. I was listening to a news, the local news here, and there was a gentleman that's running for a specific seat and a specific this, that, and the other, and he was speaking. A young white guy, and he gave the interviewer everything he needed, and he spoke eloquently. He spoke articulately and made his piece, and stated his thoughts. And then when they asked about the abortion issue, he became very uncomfortable and rattled and perforated in his speech. And as he was speaking, he says, "Listen, I have 2 daughters." And he went on to say so and so, whatever it was. And I said, and that's why you sound the way you sound, because you're a man who, because you are in public office, has a hand in making a decision on what's going to happen to your daughters.
Yes.
And it must make you feel a little crazy, or it should, because one thing that's never going to happen, ever, in the history of everdom, is you're never going to be a woman. You can have all the surgery you want, but you're never going to be a woman.
No,
and you're never going to be put in a position where you might have to make this choice. You're never going to know what this is.
Yep, you're right, and people need to understand that. And what's so funny? No wonder
you seem a little off, because this is put you in a bad place. You know what I'm saying? To have to make this kind of decision, because you're not ever going to know what this feels. You're never going to be a woman, and you're never going to be up against this choice ever.
Yeah. Yeah. And people need to understand that. I mean, shout out to all the people that are fighting for their own right. Like I said, you went, and we have all different perspectives. Not even thinking about that, I hadn't even put that in my mind. But like you said, a woman that has been raped, God forbid, and that situation came up, a child being a
product of that rape.
Yeah, exactly. And for somebody to tell a person, oh well, prove it to me or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, wait, like, who are you? And how dare you even go down that road? You know, go down that open up Pandora's box with that. So listen, politics people, a lot of people don't want to get into politics. I'm not telling you to get so indulge in politics like you want to run for office, but you have to still know who you want to put in office, and you still have a voice, and use your voice. What I hate a lot of times is those Monday morning quarterbacks or those barbershop quartets, as I'll say them, and those corner experts that want to tell you why they didn't do it or how come they did it and they should have did it, and I don't know, and don't vote for this one. Did you vote? Nah, I don't vote. Well, shut up. You know what I'm saying? Because if I don't vote, then I'm going to be quiet because I had a choice. I understand there are certain religions that don't want you to vote. I think certain religions should change that. I know I think Jehovah's, they don't believe in voting. I don't know if it's anybody else, but listen, people, there's a time now, have your voice heard. With that being said, and saying all of that, this is Real Talk Chronicles. That's Alyson Williams. I'm Bill Foster, and this is Monday. It's a rainy Monday in New York and PA and wherever you are. I don't know. Is it raining?
It rained here too. Then the sun came out for a minute, and now it's damp again.
Right. So
we getting it. Hey, listen, my people in Ohio said they waiting for some snow. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah,
literally, they said it's cold and everything.
There's hail in Buffalo.
Yeah, so Maddie said it's coming.
And then still sending prayers for the people that suffered the hurricane in
Florida. Yeah,
he did his thing. Like I said, we know about crime. I'm gonna ask you your opinion on something too about crime. Right now, street people are tired of crime. Everybody's getting into crime, and I think the common denominator is coming down to these young children. And I say children because you're still 20s, you're young 20s and teens. You had a teen, 19-year-old, he shot at police officers in Philadelphia, and he ended up getting killed. But I think he shot 3 cops as they was doing something. And just these young people out here that's committing all this crime. But I think everybody now, and I've been saying this since we've been doing the podcast with Kevin and Chuck and Rich and just whomever, even with Dr. Quarter and yourself and Al, let's get back to the parents. So I think everybody now is talking about the parents. Somebody just got shot on 100 in Harlem. I think it was 125th or not 125th Street. And it's just like I was telling the person on the phone, it's almost like a tale of two cities. We just had a wonderful event. You saw how we do when the street is closed off, just grown folks having a good time. Like that was the whole essence of Harlem. And then in the next breath, one day later, people getting shot. So it's but the moral of my story is everybody now is starting to blame the parents because it's about parental guidance now. Now, of course, people may not be raised like you and I were raised, but there still is a level of accountability. What's your take on why you think children are acting away? And do you agree that maybe parents should be held a little bit more accountable?
I do believe that parents should be held accountable, and not just a little bit. What comes out of that home is what you're going to carry with you. Your teachers have you a certain amount of hours, and they do make a great impression. That's why we need to pay our teachers more and make sure that we have people who are, up to par to do the job. and like I said, compensated for it, and that the schools, have what they need. But what comes out of the house comes out of the house. What comes from home comes from home. We didn't when we see these schools being massacres happening at these schools, those weapons weren't in the locker. Those weapons was at the house.
Yeah.
In the basement, in the garage, being built, being modified, doing whatever they were doing. They were, this came from home. So the parents do have to pay more attention. I think that we've lowered the bar in terms of, what is acceptable for parenting. Who can tell you whether you hit your kid with a belt or put him in the corner and say time out? Who'll tell you that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying beat your child bloody, but I'm saying tap that flesh was the order of the day for us, to the point where if we got our parents, if we did something, our parents got mad enough to get to yelling, we just prayed that it stayed.
That we didn't get touched. Yes, exactly.
And they gonna tell everybody that'll listen. So you're gonna hear it for 3 or 4 days. But if I could just get away with not getting the beating, or let me get the beating, but this is what would happen. That would be the deterrent. I bet I didn't do it no more. Everybody's not gonna think like that either. I think it's in what the kids have so much access to, so much, till it's going to be a cross section of them that are going to be swept up in a wave that is that goes down the way of violence, or goes down the way of violence. It's going to happen. I think it's in the music. I think it's everywhere. When I moved here, I did not move here with a naive state of mind to think there was no crime. There's crime. But this is what my thought is. Every time if I look at the news and there's been a shooting, was it just a shooting in Raleigh, and my heart goes out to those people, and a random shooting, and people, this party was over here. But this is an open carry state.
Yes.
I understand why y'all shooting. You got guns, more accessible. Why are they shooting up Harlem the way they're doing it? I'm not there, but the streets talk to me. So I'm just saying, in a place where they have the ability to get the weapons, that I would think that there'd be a higher level of activity. But I'm looking at a place where I thought we were trying to, the crime rate was coming down. You know what I'm saying? Or we would have been able to have a better handle on it coming out of, and I say out of just because I can't think of 2 other words, COVID, because we're not done with the pandemic. It's just lower numbers and less talked about.
Absolutely.
All it is right now. Do not get complacent and think that, we safe and can just go to walking and talking, breathing and sneezing the way we always did.
Absolutely.
We still have to be vigilant. So to answer your question, it boggles my mind, but I do wish that there were more parents that were, and I'm not saying they're not. I want to say a shout out to all. Parenting is hard. And I know from looking outside in.
Yeah,
I have
absolutely.
to raise a child and clothe a child and keep a child healthy and make sure they got an education and keep them safe back and forth every day, 365 days a year. Wow.
Can you talk about bartender? Give me another one, a double. Yeah. Shout out to all the good parents out there that has done their job, still do their job, and will continue to do their job. Vivian said there was no timeout when she was growing up. Exactly. There was no timeout, and like you said, Allie, we're going to get back to that real quick. But like you said, when we were younger, we knew there was levels to this shit. Like, and when I say levels to punishment, it was like, wait a minute. Oh, she or he just yelled at me. Whoa, wait a minute. Maybe I just got one quick one to the chops or the arm or the chest. Or
maybe I got away.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can scooch out the way and they just couldn't chase you.
Yeah. They got older.
Or maybe you came out of your shirt and kept it moving.
Yeah.
To the place where they was going to see you anyway, which was your room. So, you know what I'm saying? There were a lot of different scenarios. Maybe you avoided it because I'm out in the street and you're not going to make me turn you out right now, but wait till we get home. And then when you got home, you got a talking to. Or, or you got grounded, things like that. Or no, you can't. I bet you won't go to that party next week. Mhm.
Yeah.
We had privileges taken away. We had allowances canceled. We had all kinds of alternatives. But these kids don't seem like there are no consequences to their actions. There's nothing that's going to happen to them. And if you send them to their room, they're thankful because that's where all their stuff is.
Yeah.
That's where
And
all their things are. Excuse me. I
like-
said all
No,
their
you're
stuff
right.
is. That's Ebonics. Okay. Also, where all their things are. That's where their television is. That's where their PlayStation is. That's where their phone and their iPad and every other gadget. And they can sit there and look at all the whole wall full of their $500 piece sneakers.
Ain't that something? Like I said, today you have children out here with phones more expensive than yours and mine. And you know, and on the corner or not doing anything that has warranted that kind of behavior. You know, it's like I tell people all the time, you see parents out here today rewarding bad behavior. Like we were lucky to get a new something. You know, I mean, people understand. People you say, "Oh, you were only child." Yeah, but I got tore up. I averaged for a period of my life, I probably averaged a spanking, and I'm going to use that terminology, spanking, once a month. There was something, and
but also you have to realize you can say you are only child. It took just as much to raise an only child than it did to raise a family of 4.
Yeah,
because you just had 4 more backs you had to watch. One of your children walk outside or get caught up in something, or maybe they just went to school that day and they end up going. What do you say? Oh, well, I have 3 more. No. So it takes just as much, and it takes all of that effort to make it happen.
Yeah.
And you're doing it for supposedly 21 years.
Yeah.
And it don't stop after 21.
No, it don't.
Your parents are always going to be your parents. It's what you make of your life that determines how much more they have to be involved in helping you to get to where you're trying to go or achieve the things that you want to achieve in life. The support mechanism that, that can kick in. But like you said, these kids don't have an idea of and I'm not trying to say, oh, I walked 20 miles to school and back in the snow and I had 1 shoe. We didn't have to do that.
Right.
But it was somebody in our lives that did.
Absolutely.
Somebody in our lives that was their real scenario.
Yeah, our ancestors, because we heard that story. Absolutely.
We've all heard that story. So we have to be as we are in the things that we are instilling into the minds and spirits and the characters of our children have to be well rooted. They can't just be you throw it at them and, well, honey, I just can't.
No, yeah, everybody. That's Alyson Williams. I'm Bill Foster. This is Real Talk. I know a lot of you are watching us from YouTube because, like I said, we don't even have to mention that other channel right now, that other station. But just you'll click on the link and you'll come in, and then we'll post this to Facebook later on. That's saying, but it's so funny because let me ask you this question. I'm sure there has to be some kind of stipulations with laws and rules. But how about if a person 19 still living home with his parents? And like I said, there's always stipulations. Like I'm saying, if a person is a problem child, it must be documented. Maybe the parent can't be held accountable because they told all the authorities, the health, the hospitals, or whomever, the schools. Everybody knows this child is a problem. So he commits a crime or does something, they're not accountable. But what about the child that has been committing crimes and does a heinous crime? Do you think that parents should be held accountable too? Get charged with that same crime? I bet you there'll be a lot of, I'm just saying, that's a little extreme, but I bet you there'll be a lot more spanking.
I think so.
And reprimand. Remember, we watched where I know about you. Mm-hmm.
I think so. I wouldn't be opposed to that coming into the picture because I think it makes somebody accountable. Do you know what I'm saying? You got people who would do more to be more to keep their child on the straight and narrow, just so they wouldn't have to go through the shame. You know what I'm saying? Their ego, that thing that they don't want nobody to know that they had a situation they weren't able to control. And it was in the form of a child that they just couldn't do no more, or they threw their hands up, or, well, you should do it, mother. No, you should do it, father. I mean, I think so. But you also understand now, in my mind, I don't even know if I need people to know this, but I'm gonna go ahead and be transparent. For the people that are out there just committing random crimes, I think if you get charged with something and you're found guilty, what you did should be done to somebody in your family. And you should be able to watch it.
Yes. All
That's
right.
how I
That's it.
feel.
Eye for
But
eye.
that's why I don't have a country of my own. That's why they didn't give me
Yo.
a country, and I'm not the head of the country. Because
But
people
you
who
know
get
what's so
bumped
funny?
up, who bump somebody up upside the head, then we're gonna go find one of your family members, and we're
Listen,
gonna bop them upside the head.
I'm
And
not
you're
mad
gonna
at
watch
eye
it.
for eye. Listen. Where you act up is where you get it, because a lot of times people don't understand. And I was having a conversation with somebody that has the ear to the mayor, and I was telling him, I said, first and foremost, he's not calling back. I mean, I'm not saying he's not putting good people in positions. I'm not going to say that because I like Eric. But what I'm trying to say is that he's not calling the real old school cats that have been out there on the street. I'm not, and I told the person, I said, I'm not saying he has to call me. I get it. But who are you calling where people can understand, like you don't want a union person that never worked in the show. You want that union person that has been it, done it, almost got in trouble, have gotten in trouble, whatever it was. You want that union person that's going to speak up for you, not the person that doesn't know anything about the streets. So in essence, if you're going to have these officers out here doing things, you want them to, or these people in certain positions, you want them to be there that have experienced this. And that was my key. That was my conversation with them. Going back to what you were saying about right to carry states, I employ anybody that are in a position to get a firearm to do so. Because the bottom line is, why I always say you don't want to be a victim. You want to prevent yourself from being a victim. Because once you become a victim and you get it, then you're going to be a vigilante. You know what I'm trying to say? Because it's too late to something happen and say, now I got it. If it happened again, because now you're going to be on the law. You're going to be on guard every time something moves, So
and also, I mean, I think that they need to have stricter laws in terms of who can get a handgun or whatever kind of a firearm. You need a real good background check. You need a real, you gotta do it. I would want it for me. I don't want you to say, "Oh, she's so nice. She had a job and she sings good. Just give her a gun."
That's what I'm trying to say. Imagine you go get a gun.
I've been on the incident that changed my life happened when I was 16 years old. I'm 61 now. I'm still jumpy.
Yeah.
But I'm a responsible person, and I know that I have the right to protect myself if need be.
Yeah. And we'll talk about that offline, about things that I would tell you to do that would expedite it. And I talk to my boy that's in North Carolina all the time. And I kind of almost damn near beg him. I say, yo, won't you go get it? Won't you just go get a gun license? I said, and then like probably in North Carolina, you don't even really need a gun license. You need that's a carrying permit. Like you said, you can buy a gun, and if you got a driver's license in certain states, you could just go buy the gun and keep it in the house. You don't even have to carry it with you, right? Have it in there just like a paperweight. You know what I'm saying?
It's your right to go to Walmart and buy what you want.
Listen, leave me alone. I tell you, and I always told people, a lot of the people of color or people, just people back in the day that's been on the job, we always had a slogan: if you're gonna pull out your gun, you better have a damn good reason to use it.
Yeah, that's what I was taught by my father.
Absolutely.
He taught me about the gun and what a gun was and why. Because why did you have a gun, Dad? Well, you a trumpet player. Well, in these streets. And so, he sat me down, he explained that to me. You never pull a gun unless you intend to use it.
Absolutely. And you don't need that wolf ticket, because that's the ultimate wolf ticket. Because if somebody said, well, what you gonna do? Now you gonna shit or get off that pot, baby.
Yeah. So so that for some people with good sense to keep you straight. What do you think about this? And I saw this on TV and it made me turn my head to the side. There's a rookie officer that was responding to a call at a McDonald's.
Oh.
He saw a car that looked like a car that had fled
2 days 2
days ago, and he said, wait a minute. I think I'm gonna go over here and check out this car, because this is a car that looks like a car that fled from me in pursuit to, I don't care if it was an hour ago, but it was a day or so ago, whenever it was. And then he proceeded to open the door of the car and then proceeded to just go off half-cocked and shoot. From what I remember, I don't think the driver got hit or the passenger.
He did. He's in the hospital now. He's in the hospital.
He got hit, but the passenger did not get hit. But he was able to drive away.
Yes. Let me tell you something. First, how crazy is that? Let's deal with the mentality. And I always deal with the psychological, because that's just my thing, of the person that said, the officer that said, that car looks like the car that ran away from me 2 days ago. There's no crime.
Plus, what was the call you were answering for your original call? Were those people in there under hostage, under siege? Were those people in there having an altercation? Had somebody stabbed somebody with a plastic knife? We don't know what was going on in McDonald's. But that's where you were called. That was your order of business. That was where you were directed to go.
Yeah.
The heck with what's going on in there.
He said, I'm gonna handle this parked car right here. This is a car I'm gonna handle. I'm gonna handle this parked car. Now think about this. He walks up to the car, opens up the door, and the young man is sitting in the car eating a hamburger with his little girlfriend. He got food in his mouth when he looks at the officer. So now, for all the naysayers that, he shouldn't have drove off. Listen, people are getting carjacked. That boy was probably so scared when that door opened up. He didn't see the blue uniform. He just saw a man.
I know one thing. I know he saw bullets. If there are bullets coming after me, what I'm saying. So if you might have hit me in the leg, let me sit here so I can make sure you catch me in the chest.
Yo, listen. Now, how to, and this is why I always say this problem with law enforcement and the communities, because the unions, we always get the chiefs and the PCs that'll say this was just a heinous act. This is unexcusable. It's terrible. But we don't get the police unions to come out because they still have to defend that person. But you don't have people coming out and condemning that. You know what I'm saying? And that's why there's such a problem in the distance between community and law enforcement. Now, let's be honest with everybody out here. This wasn't. I think if we're going to call him a man of color, but I don't know if he was a white child or he's a Hispanic, a light-skinned Hispanic. So this has not, we can't even say this was racial profiling. This was just profiling the vehicle. You didn't know who was in the car.
My question is this, and because you've been through the academy, what was it that they didn't pick up on his behavioral tactics in training that would have said, you're a good guy. We understand. We appreciate you coming and filling out the application, but you're not the one for this job.
Yeah, let me just honestly tell you that, and I'm so glad you asked that question. And I've been waiting for somebody to ask me that. Officers do not want to be responsible for another officer losing their job. They rather him go and commit a problem like that and say, "I knew he was like that."
Right. Always knew it was a little off. Oh, wow.
Listen, think about this. In our lives, we know people a little bit sensitive, little bit ego, a diva, for a man or a woman, a person is hard to work with. But then when the person doesn't get a gig or maybe had an alcohol problem or had a drug problem, but long as they still came and performed, it was all right. It only became a point where they wasn't able to get there. Like me with my job, I knew people that may have been a little hot-headed or heavy-handed. That was rumored to be heavy-handed or hot-handed. And then you're like, it's only until they got in trouble then you feel like, see, it was just a matter of time. But if it wasn't done in front of me. Now, I guarantee you that officer had spewed out everything that he did in the past. And what I mean by that, he's probably said, yeah, I dare effer run away from me. I'll catch him another day and I'll do something. I'm sure he says, yeah, these people out here acting this way. It's my job to correct, to police them and make them do right from wrong, this and that. Because let me tell you something. How ballsy are you to walk up to a car by yourself and pull open the door? If that ain't cowboyish, then what is it? You know? And then you yank open the door, and then you see the boy, and then you're still shooting at the car. The guy's not trying to hit you; he's fleeing. If this is a crime, he's fleeing. You said this is a car that didn't have. You thought about that fled from you, escaped you the other day. You thought it was a vehicle. Come on, man! Like, please knock it off. My man Eddie Vieira, he said, I just wanted to give up on a majority of PD leadership. These leaders have the power to guide and stem with their lower ranking officers, but they don't. You're right. I mean Eddie, it's crazy. And shout out to Eddie, who's a real talker. We have to understand that. No, we don't have to understand. We understand why they don't. But it's always the aftermaths. It's always the people that can, and that's why I was saying to the person that I was talking to, like, people say, Bill, run for office, do this, get that, do that. I can't, because I won't be able to say what I'm saying now, because I'll be, handcuffed in that terminology, that I won't be able to have that freedom of tongue to say what I want to say and just spew it, because right now it is a problem on both sides of the tracks. It really is. It's sad that an officer in 2022 will walk up to a car and shoot at a vehicle with a young man eating a hamburger with his girlfriend in the car, and he shoots at the moving vehicle. That's straight TV. You do not shoot at moving vehicles. It wasn't done in a commission of a crime. Yeah.
Did you say that's TV?
That's TV. That's straight TV. Shooting at moving vehicles and jumping on cars. Listen, the car wasn't even trying to hit him. He ran the other way, and you shooting at him. You shot at him when he pulled off. You shot at him when he put the car in drive, and you shot at him when he was driving away. What did you see, and what did you fear that you said, I'm going to kill that little boy? And you can see when you listen. I would have respected if you would have said, yo, you ran away from me 2 days ago and wished a hamburger in his mouth, and then been like, oh, I'm sorry, my bad. But you shooting. You shooting. And listen, if you wanted to be a tough guy, knock the hamburger on the floor. Go buy another one. But you don't even know who this kid is, man. You don't know who this is. So listen.
You said the car looked familiar. Who said that was the kid, the person driving it, even if it was the exact vehicle?
And this is what
he
all
might
the
not have
answers.
been the one driving it that day when he ran away from you.
And these are all the things that he's going to have to answer to, because the bottom line is. But you know what's so funny? A lot of times these people, they get in the way. I think it was, I forgot what place was it too. It was in a school. They told the boy to come off the bench in the bleachers. He didn't want to play the sport of basketball. And then they call the police or a public safety person, and he come and start slamming him around. And then he calls his father, and he's like, I'm like, listen, man, this is a new world order that we're dealing with right now, where you think you could just put your hands on somebody's child. But then there's another incident too, where the teacher asked the child to take the phone away. A female, she takes the child's phone away, and the child punch her in the face. So like, yo, listen, you get kicked out of school. How about that? You can't go to no school. You need home training, or you need to go to like these shop programs and stuff like that. Talking about out of control. Eddie said, yo, shaking my head. Was that the burger in the shape of a gun? Absolutely. What can he possibly what can his possible excuse be? Shooting at a moving vehicle, immediate suspension for that officer. Listen, he's fired. For those that don't know, that officer was fired. But this is what my problem is when I have officers that are fired or quit. They still get represented by the union. So all those legal fees don't come out their pocket. Now, if they get indemnified, if they found not guilty, they're going to get another job, probably in another county, or another police force, or maybe the fire department, right? If they're found guilty, whatever time they have, because they quit, they keep that little pension that they have, unless certain states may have it, maybe you lose your pension. But a lot of places don't lose your pension. In New York, if after you do your 20, You don't lose your pension no matter what you do. You know, that's just changed. So people understand that when you hear about these officers quitting, it's not like they quit because they was like, oh, I know I'm gonna get fired. They don't want to get fired because once they go to trial and they're found now guilty, now they can get another job because they were never fired.
Right.
Understand the play. That's how that game is worked out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people may hate me for telling that, but it is what it is because the bottom line is do the right thing.
You think we don't know, Bill? We watch Law and Order. We know what goes on.
Exactly.
We know that he was a bad cop, and then he went to another state and got another job as a cop again, and then he still was doing what he. We saw that episode. We know.
Listen, but that's not the episode. That's the episode they don't play all the time. They play the episode where it was he had the gun in his hand. Play the episode where he was wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's the one we say. You know, everybody, that's Alyson Williams. I'm Bill Foster. I want to shift this conversation because you're in the industry and this person is an industry person. And I'm not asking you your personal feeling or do you know him or you don't know him. Kanye was on Drink Champs. Shout out to Nori and DJ Effin. Awesome podcast because their podcast is more about celebratory to the artist. Yeah, what they do is they're off the chain. So basically, with Drink Champs, they have you come to the podcast, you sit down, and you drink and you get high and you smoke, and their hope is that you're so relaxed that you just start spilling all kind of gossip and beans and shit like that, right? Or you just have real talk. It's real talk because liquor and weed or drugs, it opens up the system. So this is the third time they had Kanye. Now, Kanye, for those that don't know, he's a billionaire. I think he's the richest black man right now in the country, in the world. And that's kudos to him for that. People keep saying that he has mental problems, and I'm not going to say he doesn't. I met him once in passing. I don't know anything about him. I know he's deemed a genius in music, and that's where I'll go with you with this, Alyson, in a sense. I know he was deemed a genius in music and clothing lines, and I understand certain things. And I had Malika today listening to something. The original podcast, they took off YouTube. Now they have snippets of the podcast from the show. He said some real messed up stuff about George Floyd. And he kind of referenced Candace Owens as she was facts. He said some things about Jews. And JP Morgan canceled his bank account. And I think he had 4 stadium concerts that he was going to do, and they canceled them. So he was going off and saying about, well, I'm a black Jew. I'm a Jew. We're from the Jewish descent. We're all mixed up. But he says that, the Jewish population controls stuff. But then he said something about the Black Lives Matter T-shirt and the White Lives Matter T-shirt. So my question to you, Allie, is I'm not asking you if you think he has mental issues or not. That's up to you if you want to say that or don't say that. My thing is to you is that first, to be an artist and be as talented as he is, because some people may put him up there with the Princes and Miles. I hope not. Exactly. I'm looking at your eyes and the Michael Jacksons, but he might be this era. Is it that? Are you that talented? People that talented where you say they was always a little different, and then maybe they didn't call it mental illness back then, or a little different.
Well, let me just start by saying this, because this was a thought in my head, and I just got to get it out. When you first said, I don't know if you know him or if you've met him, but I want to talk to you about Kanye. I pictured our screen right here, and I'm a person watching, and all of a sudden you say, so I want to ask you, and then all of a sudden you saw this. That's what I had in my head, like, because you would just do, you say, Alyson, I just want to so and so and blah, blah, blah. I wanted you to turn around and I just not be there.
Yo, that would have been hilarious.
And that's what the person watching said, "Oh snap, Alyson Williams cold left."
Yo, listen, and I don't blame you because
that was that's what I wrote for my SNL.
Your skit, your SNL skit.
Yes, that was my skit.
That was a good one. That would have been a great
one. To answer your question, first of all, I can't speak into his musical genius because I haven't really invested in his music outside of the commercial hits that he's had.
Right.
In my opinion of them. I think that when I first started hearing his story, when he first came on and his mouth had been wired and I was like, okay, he's moving up the ranks. And then he looked around and then John Legend was doing something with him and he became poof pop. And I was in it for as much as I was in it until I wasn't. Mm-hmm. Now, when he started having different issues or things that started coming up as red flags on the radar, I said to myself, well, he's been through a lot. He lost his mother, yada, 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 boom, boom, boom. But he might have always had, issues being slightly off the beaten path in terms of his train of thinking.
Yes.
And the sad thing is that when it comes to people in the African-American community, we don't talk about mental illness. Because you don't want nobody to say you had somebody crazy in your family. It's a shame. It's a badge of shame, as opposed to it is an illness that can be treated, that can be dealt with, just like anything else.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, whatever the situation is, if he needs help or he might need to have medications to keep, and then we got freedom of speech. Maybe he's entitled to say what he wants to say. But when you become one of or the most financially sound people in the nation, you're a billionaire because of the things that apparently you do well with business. You sold some clothes and shoes that I think are ugly to a whole nation of young people in this generation that like your haberdashery. It ain't from me.
That's a perfect word. Exactly.
You've made good on that, and kudos for that. You made good record deals. You had this choir. You tried to implement what your spiritual base is to other people, and it's been helpful to them. But some of the things you do are not helpful. They are harmful in terms of how you express yourself.
Yes.
And the things that you say or the things that you do. I was done with Kanye when he went into the Oval Office and decided he was going to cuss all over himself. I don't care nothing about Donald Trump, and I don't care a lot about certain things that this country stands for and has stood for hundreds of years. But you don't go in the Oval Office and F this and F that. You just don't do that.
Absolutely.
It's just not. It's not respectable to that office, whatever that office is supposed to represent, and it's not respectable to us as people. You'll see our faces up in there all the time. And here you come acting like you've never been nowhere before, and you have been. So that's my problem with you. You want to support Donald Trump, that's you. But you're not, and Donald Trump, I expect what you did, which was nothing. You never even said, excuse me, young man, we don't speak like that here.
You let him. You let
him doo-doo all over the Oval Office. You let him put where he wanted. He was off the chain and he was on. So that for me, that was that. That was your cutoff. You were held to a certain standard if you're going to be outspoken when you are who you are, because you influence people.
So many, yes.
So many people. So that's my situation. Whatever his train of thought is, and like you said, there are a lot of people who are not of color, and when they come up and they have a issue or they've been seeing a therapist or whatever, and they need to pull it together, we give them a pass. Well, they've been going through traumatic times and so on and so forth.
Yo, what's so funny? I'm watching. I'm sorry. It says I see so many people on the news on Channel 7. This girl, the news girl, wrote a book about depression. This other guy wrote a book about other thoughts, this depression and this and that. And I'm like, for white people, that's all right. And no disrespect to white people. Mental illness is mental illness, and depression or whatever you go through. It's not all right. Hopefully everybody gets help and can, because we all about them one tick a top away from being called cuckoo to somebody, because there's somebody that call everybody.
Especially what we've all been through as a nation.
Absolutely.
A pandemic, a Ukrainian war. I don't care if it's over here, all of the different natural disasters that we deal with, all of these different crime sprees that we see, all of that affects us, and it affects everybody differently. So,
and then the thing is, you know, and I'm not defending because as he wants to be called Ye, because he said on the podcast, he said, yo, anybody calls me Kanye West in my face is disrespecting me. They're calling me Cassius Clay. He said, I changed my name to Muhammad. And I was like, okay, I get it. But he says everybody wants to say I'm 730, but I'm doing it because I speak up and say certain things. But now you're 730 when you say some real outlandish shit about George Floyd and Black Lives Matter and the Jews and stuff like that.
So I won't cut you off. Go ahead.
Go.
I want you to finish that
Go.
thought. What was the deal?
Yeah,
I missed it until I heard about it. I missed it. He went somewhere, or I guess during Fashion Week or whatever he was doing with his fashion line, and he wore White Lives Matter. So what was that about? What was he trying to say to it?
Well, I guess he was trying to say that White Lives Matter. So, and then he was with Candace Owens, and he was saying that White Lives Matter basically, and you know, basically kind of, we understand Black Lives Matter, but White Lives Matter. Now, you know, it's so funny. Somebody had said on a show that they said he's in their mind when they deal with him and talk to him. I'm gonna read your comment in a minute, Eddie, that he's about the woe. You know, like somebody, as they say, you know, shit don't stink unless you step in it. Like he's about that. He'll say something to ruffle the feathers, and now it's almost like because now he's a billionaire.
So it's shock value. He's doing it for shock value. Just to
that's what they were saying.
Away with it because he knows that every few days we wipe the slate clean because somebody else says something just as crazy or crazier, or we've made a decision to go. Let's look at. We're like a cat with a ball.
Yes,
it's like,
yes,
oh
yes,
my God.
Yes, exactly, Allie. Exactly,
you know, and
exactly.
That's how it is. And like I said, he's entitled to his. I just think that if I were a billionaire, and I'm an African-American woman, a Black woman, and I knew that I had the ears and eyes of the nation and the world, I think I'd just say all lives matter. Don't mean I'm not for the white people. It doesn't mean I'm more for the Black people, but all lives matter. But as a Black person, I got to bat for my team.
Come on. And
especially knowing that the temperature of the water that we're in right now, what are you saying? You, of all people, come on. I just don't, like I said, to me, that seemed like something you did just to see what would happen.
Yeah. And you know, it's so funny. It's just like, it's so crazy to me because this dude, instead of, he's trying to save people. He's trying to make people woke. I mean, the bottom line is, and I had people getting mad because Black people, we want to talk about our own. And I get that. But I was telling people, I said, listen, nobody's shooting darts at Elon Musk and Warren Buffett and all these cats and Gates.
Suppose somebody white showed up with a t-shirt that said, niggas isn't really that bad a word. How would you know, white people would be going, what are you doing? What are you doing? But I'm just saying, niggas isn't really that bad a word.
Yeah, why are you getting mad?
White lives matter. White lives matter.
Listen. Why would you push the envelope on this shit? Why would you push the envelope?
When you have the means and the reach to do so many other things, this is what you figure you're gonna do?
Yeah.
This is
what about get an education or some shit? Right, you're right. Yo, why about exactly? Why don't you get an education? No, you want to fight.
I don't know any of the other philanthropic things he may be doing behind the scenes. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying what you choose to put out in the front line is a Coca for Cocoa Puffs. It's just
absolutely
common sense ain't common.
You're right about that. So Eddie Vieira said, "Genius is a technical term. It's for people with high IQs." Kanye did very well in his form of employment, which is music. Some people do just as well as plumbers or architects, etc. Exactly. Stefania said, "What do you think about? The no voting, no vucking video? I didn't see that. You got to send me that. I didn't see that.
I don't know that either.
Yeah, Vera with the wonderful last name. She said he would be called eccentric. Absolutely." Stefania said, once he mentioned Jewish people, don't you see that Chase Bank has asked him to move his money elsewhere? He did. Yeah, they did. But let me say this. And this is one thing that he did say. He said on the podcast, he said, Chase is wrong. He says, I didn't commit a crime. He said, what happened to freedom of speech? I said something that they didn't like, but he was saying now it just shows you that Jews do run everything. And because they didn't like what he said, they canceled him. They canceled 4 of his shows. So he's like, people say other things, and nobody tell him to move their money out of his bank. I was like, okay. Malika and I was listening to him, and he was all over the place with it.
And I bet you people with all the freedom of speech are going to watch what they say because they don't want to be canceled. They made a precedent. It hadn't been done before. But people have been having endorsements canceled and shows canceled all along for you saying things that were in their mind or in their mind inappropriate. Does the Jewish sector of the world run a lot of stuff? Yeah, we're not blind. We're not saying it isn't true, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, dog, really.
Yeah. You said something that hit a nerve on a platform that was high enough up the food chain where you got nudged.
Yep, you're right.
Did you think you wouldn't get nudged? Did you think you weren't going to ruffle somebody's feather? Do you think you weren't going to be offensive? It wasn't like you weren't going to be. You just didn't know it was going to hit that high and hit that hard.
Oh, okay.
They made him move his money. He's lucky they didn't burn his money.
Yes, exactly. So I think with Stefania,
still his money.
Yeah, Stefania, because I'm on YouTube, I can't hit this link. It says because she says black people black presence, no voting, no vucking, featuring Source, Santana, and Trina. Is this a song, Stefania? Oh my goodness, what kind of nonsense is this? I'll check that out later, just because you sent it to me. Yo, everybody, this is crazy. Eddie said people just throwing the word genius around way too much. Kanye genius. He hugging with Trump for goodness sake. Exactly. She said, "Oh, it's a trashy song." Okay. The community is outraged. Yeah, I don't know, but you know what's so funny? Shame on people that patronize and listen to this buffoonery, because the bottom line is, Alyson, you said something earlier in the show. You said, listen, about what is written and what is sung. Like, people don't make love songs anymore. You know what I'm saying? People don't say, and that's why I'm so glad the artists that have made classics music, like yourself and other artists. Go ahead, go please.
Let me just say this: it's not that they don't make love songs. People making love songs. Love songs can't hardly get played. Okay, there's a process, and love songs are consciousness songs. I think there's people out there making consciousness music, but you can't get through. You can't hear "Keep on Pushing" or "I'll Take You There," or a song those songs talked about. We're gonna summon you to the dance floor, and while you laughing and having a good time, we're gonna put some knowledge down your throat. We're going to drop a pearl of wisdom down there. We're going to give your mindset something that says, I'm be thankful for what I got. I got a diamond in the back and a sunroof top, and I'm digging the scene with my gangster lean. Ooh.
Yes. And
so and people are still making songs and rap records and all in different genres that speak into positivity, but it's hard to get that played. And if you want to hear some R&B music, they're gonna make you look to one. Oh, hi Bruno Mars. Okay, you got some love songs. You got good love songs. Sound just like the love songs we used to listen to. We're so glad you came back and made them again, because we was trying to make some new ones, but nobody would play them. Yeah,
that's true. That's real talk. Everybody, that's real talk from Alyson right there. And you know what's so funny?
Oh, then we might play them if we have enough money to get them played and streamed and so on and so forth. But that's always been the game. I'm not saying nothing new. I'm just saying.
Okay. Right. But you know what's so funny too? I remember years ago, you go to a club, you ask somebody to dance, and then you could sing along with each other because you would sing the lyrics to each other and dance. Now you go to a club, first thing you know, a woman today will turn her back to you, and now you riding her behind from the back. You know what I'm saying? That was if a woman turned her back and let you dance up close up on her from the back, you knew you had the number. Or that was already a date that y'all was going on the next time around. And it's a whole different genre of music. People don't even ask people to dance anymore in the clubs anymore.
You can't hear your voice in the club. The club is too damn loud. I can't even say hi. My name is what's yours? Because it's like, what you say?
Yeah, text me. You know what I'm saying?
Right. You be sitting there going like, it's
you be like,
amazing.
text me. I'll give you my number. Text me. You know.
But you know what?
Stephanie said,
Let me put a disclaimer on that just to say that when we were going to the club, to our parents and the generation that was going to the club before we were going to the club, our music was loud as hell too. But I guess it was just different. You know, it's just a different music. The music at the club is always too loud. That's why it's a club.
I mean, remember when we had been in a house and called rent parties.
Yeah, but you know, back in the day when they would go to the Savoy or to the wherever, you know, and listen to the big band, I don't think it was quite as loud as the megahertz that we can put out today. I don't think it's
technology has changed.
You can shatter people's eardrums today.
Blow them right off. Vera said there is a thin line between genius and insanity. Maybe he's crossing that line. Absolutely. Stefani
Maybe he's riding that line.
Yeah. He's testing. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, that's a good question. I would like to ask the listeners, will you still support him or will you won't support him? Let me know. Thumbs, you know, Y for yes, N for no. Stefani said the community is outraged by that song. Yeah, you know, it's so funny. We have to understand that times have changed. I think it's great that, like I said, I'll say it again, and I love it because to see so many classic artists still working, from the rap to the R&B to whatever music it is that can come out and play their hits, and people actually want to go to a concert or a venue to see them perform. It is so important. You may not get the sold out stadiums of 40,000, but the bottom line, as long as you can get someplace and get 500 or 300, you know what I'm saying? As long as you can, and as long as it can pay that bills, you may have to do more shows than a Jay-Z or somebody, but you're not supposed to. You know, you're supposed to do more shows because that's just why you're an artist. What's your thoughts on anything before we get out of here? It's a beautiful thing. Everybody, you're going to have to really start chasing us on YouTube right now. Subscribe to it. Tell your friends. And like you said, Ali, about certain things being promoted and stuff. People promote Real Talk. I appreciate you. Alyson, appreciate you, because the bottom line is certain things change and we got to change with them. But I'm going to still do Real Talk as long as you listen and you listen to Ali and myself or whomever I have here. We're going to rock out with you. Stefani said it's more like an ad for a black dating app, as well as being a tool to push people to go out to vote, specifically people in the black community. Yeah. Click, clack, right? Yeah. Oh, well, listen. I know one thing, like I said, old school is old school. Go vote. You know, have a voice. Speak up. You know, you want to be heard.
Absolutely. Your voice matters. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Your voice matters. You want to put somebody there who can stand up and say, you know, or have the same views. Everybody's not going to have the same exact views, but, you know, somebody that's going to represent, you know, what you're feeling, what you want to see in your communities. I mean, ain't nobody here is vice president in charge of tomorrow. Okay, we don't have that.
No.
Just saying, but we can have our voices heard. And if you look around and there's nothing being done, and you haven't voted, then you know what then you have no voice at that point. You know what I'm saying? At least this way you have a chance. I want to say, like I said, congratulations to Najee with the consideration for nomination, and I'm putting it in God's hands and saying it's already done. And to all those others that are out there, Melissa and Skip Martin, another project I'm a part of. Congratulations to us for putting in the work and hopefully being recognized. I want to say that I will be in Detroit on December 5th. At the Fisher Theater with Najee, with Michael Franks. We will be in Hampton, Virginia on the 10th of November for the Jazz Legacy event. We will be in Charlotte, North Carolina at Middle C on the 11th and 12th of November. And then after that, you got to stay tuned. Oh, and Atlanta. I'm sorry, those are Najee dates. In Atlanta with Will Downing and Mike Phillips at the Cobb Energy Center on November 18th. So wherever you are in the country, you could be able to see a little bit of Alyson Williams and a few other good people too.
That's it. So Najee's up for that Grammy. Are you up for with him or just him?
If he win, I win. I mean, I'm on the project. It's, you know, his category is best jazz album, but we are all mentioned in the promo of it. So you know,
shoot, if you win, if Najee win and you win, Real Talk win.
Hey, that's what I'm saying. And then every third Monday you'll be like, this is a Grammy Award winner Alyson Williams here on Real Talk.
Listen, it comes with the title. I have no problems calling people doctor.
Hey, listen.
Grammy Award winner, Oscar. Listen,
Yeah.
Mr. Mrs. Listen. Shame on those people that don't want to give props to where props are due. You know what I'm saying? Shoot,
Hey,
and then
listen.
you know maybe one day, Allie, you know you're getting when y'all together on the road somewhere. If it's around that time, you can pull them in and something. If not, you know, I mean, whoever you want to bring in, you know, you always know that's your thing. But I so appreciate the organicness of when we just chop it up the way we do, because the people don't know, and this is the one thing that I'm so glad that they get to see, that you just a real Harlem girl. You could just sit back and kick it. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, that's what it's all about. That is what it's all about.
Yeah, just sit back and kick it.
All about. Sit back and kick it and have some real talk.
That's it. Listen, who knew, right? Everybody, that's Alyson Williams. That's Malika Foster in the background.
That's my girl. That's my girl.
That's it. I'm Bill Foster. We out of here. See you Wednesday. Yes, Wednesday we'll come back. We'll see what we'll talk about and what's going on in the world of law enforcement and crime, or just current events. Until then, that's Alyson, Bill, Malika. We out of here, everybody. Real talk. Appreciate you.
Be safe. Peace.
There you go.